Elkhart, Indiana, a city of modest size, harbors a dark secret. It has become a breeding ground for wrongful convictions. The number of exonerations, particularly among people of color, is staggering. This alarming trend has earned Elkhart the grim title of wrongful conviction capital of America. Is this simply a string of unfortunate coincidences? Or does it point to a systemic issue within the Elkhart Police Department and the Elkhart County Prosecutor's Office? The evidence suggests a deeply troubling pattern of misconduct. Fabricated evidence, coerced confessions, and blatant disregard for constitutional rights are recurring themes. These actions have shattered the lives of countless innocent individuals and eroded public trust in the justice system. The scars of these injustices run deep, leaving the community traumatized and crying out for change. The human cost of these wrongful convictions is immeasurable. Years lost in prison, families torn apart, and reputations destroyed. The trauma inflicted on these individuals is compounded by the indifference and hostility they often face upon release. How can they rebuild their lives when the system that wrongfully imprisoned them offers little support or accountability? The city of Elkhart can no longer afford to ignore this stain on its conscience. The time for empty promises and superficial reforms is over. The citizens of Elkhart deserve a justice system that is fair, impartial, and accountable. Dwayne Dunn spent 12 agonizing years behind bars for a murder he did not commit. His conviction was based on flimsy evidence and the dubious testimony of a jailhouse informant. The prosecution, blinded by their zeal to secure a conviction, ignored crucial evidence that pointed to Dunn's innocence. It was only through the tireless efforts of dedicated attorneys and the Innocence Project that Dunn was finally exonerated and released.
Hakeem Lehman's story is equally tragic. He was arrested during a routine traffic stop. The officer, seemingly motivated by racial bias, fabricated charges of resisting arrest. Lehman, a hard-working father struggling to support his family, lost his job and his reputation. The charges against him were eventually dropped, but the damage was already done.
These cases are not isolated incidents. They are emblematic of a deeply flawed system that disproportionately targets and punishes marginalized communities. The use of fabricated evidence, racial profiling, and excessive force has created a climate of fear and mistrust between law enforcement and the communities they're sworn to protect. The emotional and psychological toll on the victims of these injustices is immense. They live with the constant fear of being falsely accused, harassed, or even killed by the very people who should be protecting them. This fear is not unfounded. It is a direct result of the culture of impunity that pervades the Elkhart Police Department. Joy Phillips, a former Elkhart police officer, dared to challenge the department's corrupt culture from within. When ordered to write a search warrant that she believed to be illegal, she refused. Her act of conscience, her commitment to upholding the law, was met with swift and brutal retaliation. She was ostracized by her colleagues, subjected to relentless harassment, and ultimately forced out of the department.
Phillips's story is a testament to the code of silence that protects bad actors within the Elkhart Police Department. Officers who report misconduct are often targeted, their careers destroyed, their reputations tarnished. This culture of fear and intimidation prevents other officers from coming forward, allowing the cycle of abuse to continue unchecked.
Phillips's courage in speaking out should be applauded, not punished. She represents the best of law enforcement, the commitment to justice and integrity that should be the hallmark of every officer. Her treatment at the hands of her own department is a disgrace and a betrayal of the public trust. The retaliation against Phillips sends a chilling message to other officers. Stay silent or face the consequences. This culture of fear and intimidation must end. The Elkhart Police Department needs leaders who value integrity over blind loyalty, who encourage transparency, and who hold officers accountable for their actions. The city of Elkhart has responded to the growing outcry over police misconduct with a series of vague promises and superficial reforms.
They have pledged to increase training, improve community relations, and enhance oversight. However, these promises ring hollow in the face of continued inaction and a lack of concrete measures.
The city's response has been characterized by a persistent refusal to acknowledge the systemic nature of the problem. They have dismissed the cases of wrongful convictions as isolated incidents, the work of a few bad apples. This denial prevents any meaningful change and perpetuates the cycle of abuse.
The city's reluctance to address the root causes of police misconduct is deeply troubling. They have shown little willingness to engage in honest dialogue with the community, to listen to the voices of those most affected by police brutality and systemic racism.
This lack of transparency and accountability only deepens the divide between law enforcement and the people they are sworn to serve. The citizens of Elkhart deserve more than empty promises and half-hearted measures.
They deserve a comprehensive plan of action that addresses the systemic issues plaguing the police department. This plan must include independent oversight, robust accountability mechanisms, and a genuine commitment to rebuilding trust with the community.
The fight for justice in Elkhart is far from over. The city faces a long and arduous road to restoring public trust in its justice system.
The first step on this path is accountability. Those responsible for perpetrating these injustices must be held to account. This accountability must extend beyond individual officers. It must encompass the prosecutors, judges, and city officials who enabled and perpetuated this culture of impunity.
A thorough and impartial investigation into the practices of the Elkhart Police Department and the Elkhart County Prosecutor's Office is long overdue. The victims of these injustices deserve more than just an apology.
They deserve restitution for the years stolen, the opportunities lost, and the trauma endured. The city must provide comprehensive support services, including counseling, job training, and financial assistance to help them rebuild their lives.
It is a fight for a justice system that truly lives up to its name, a system that treats all citizens with dignity, respect, and fairness, regardless of race, ethnicity, or socio-economic status. The time for change is now.